I'm Zach Griffin. Um, I I'm from Syracuse, Utah, and I was born to a great family with my mom and my dad. My dad's David Griffin, my mom is Julie Griffin, and I was born to them. And we're from Syracuse, Utah, and I have a great family, a family of seven people. I have me, um, three little brothers, and a little sister. From oldest to youngest, there's Thomas. He's he's like a year and a half younger than me. And there's Rachel. She's she's my little sister. She's about 2 or 3 years younger than me. And then Adam and Spencer. And they're great. It's a great family and great to be part of. And that's my family. So growing up, I lived on my grandpa's farm. The really special thing about me is that my grandpa, he owned a farm, and along the edge of his farm, he let all of his children build a home there. And so that's something that's really been special to me and for my family, is I've had a chance to grow up next door to a lot of my cousins on the one side of my family from the Cook side. And that's been a really amazing experience to be so close to so many great family members and so many great examples to me in my life. I think especially growing up on the Cook farm, it was almost like my family members were more of my friends than my friends were. I remember when I was really little, my mom would always tell me that to hang out with my friends, and I would just always want to hang out with my cousins. And I would hang out with my older cousins, like Spencer and Andrew and Brian, Corey, Maddie, Jordan. I would just kind of follow them around, and we'd hang out with all their friends, and it was really great. There was lots of really fun memories. We'd get the sled, and we'd attach it to the back of the four-wheeler, tie it to it with some rope, and we just, when there's snow outside, we'd sled around in the field and through the backyards, and there's a lot of great memories and lots of great learning experiences. Those guys are still some of the people I look up to the very most in my life. And so that's something that I really loved and really appreciated about my childhood. When I was really little, my grandpa, he was still farming. He was still farming the field behind our house where I lived. And that was something that's really cool. And I had like this unique chance to be able to go out in the tractor with him and to ride around with him. And that was something that I always really loved. As a little kid, one of my first words was tractor. And that's kind of weird for kids nowadays, I guess. But back when I was a boy, it was cool. And so I loved that. I would get tractor toys. I'd play with them around my house with my brothers and sisters and my sister. But I remember just I'd always go ride with my grandpa in the tractor. And that was some really special times. Even though I was really little, I know he taught me a lot. I started going out on the tractor with him when I was probably like 2 years old. He's probably helped my mom out a ton. But we'd just go ride, and I remember sitting on the back of the seat, and I'd just sit there and watch and talk to my grandpa, and that was something that was really special. I remember even my grandma cook, she'd make us hot dogs for lunch, and we'd take it out, and then I would never finish mine, and we'd throw it out to the seagulls, and I loved it. That was something that I really cherished from my childhood, to be able to spend that time with my grandpa cook and to spend that time riding the tractor, farming the farm. It was a really great experience for me. So I've already mentioned a little bit about my grandpa and grandma cook, but they're some of the people that I really look up to in life. My grandpa, like I said, we grew up on that farm, but he was really a great role model to me. When I was really little, he was our stake president for our stake, and then when I got a little older, he became the patriarch, the state patriarch, and he was someone that he was a very good leader in the church, but he had a very strong testimony. And he would always teach me a lot. He was really a special man, and I'm always grateful for him for the memories I had. He'd take us fishing up in Wyoming, be him and my grandma, and then me and my little brother Thomas, we'd go up there fishing and spend the day with him. And he was always teaching me and helping me. He gave me my patriarchal blessing. I remember he got cancer when I think I was probably in 5th or 6th grade. I remember being like super confused about that, wondering, like, cancer. I remember just looking at him and looking at his belly and knowing there's something in there that was gonna hurt him, and that was bad. And that was hard for me as a little kid, especially for what he meant. But I remember him fighting through that. for him to continue to lead. And he's such a hard worker. Worked every day of his life. And I think one thing that really shows his character was about how when he was getting sick and he was about to pass away. I think he kind of knew that, even though he did know that, he saw that coming. And so instead of just kind of moping about it, being upset about that, he took that time and he like worked for my grandma. That's what I call it. He worked for my grandma. He spent his time preparing so that when he left, she had everything taken care of. He bought her a new car so she didn't have to worry about the car. Bought her a new organ because she loves the organ, and the old one had some problems that he'd always work on. Labeled everything in the garage so she knew what to do with it. And she probably already knew this already, but he did all that he could to help her, and that's kind of how he lived. He lived to support his family. He lived working as a principal of a high school and then coming home at night to farm on the farm. And then church callings on top of that. That was kind of the man he is, and I really look up to him for that. My grandma cook also, she's special. She's my grandma cook. What I say about her, when I think of grandma cook, I think of me going over there trying to give her something from my mom. My mom told me, hey, go give this to her. And I would always leave with like 3 or 4 more things that she wanted, that she gave me. So like every single time I'd try to give something to her and she'd end up giving way more back to me than I could ever give to her. And she's been an amazing influence in my life as well. I remember, talk about this a little later, but when my dad got sick when I was in high school, my grandma cook came in and she came out of mom retirement, I guess. I guess she's not really in retirement because she's still got all of her kids now. But she came out and she came to the rescue. She came to our home. She cleaned. She took us to stuff. She helped cook, held down the fort when my mom was at the hospital, so she could come home at night and have to worry about those things. And that was a huge support for me. And she really helped support me with that. Honestly, it saved me so much in high school and allowed me to still be a high school kid and to really have that experience. And she's been a great influence in my life. When I think of my grandpa and grandma Griffin, they were also a very big influence in my life. I think most people's grandparents are, but I feel their example more than anything. That's how they kind of live. They live by example of just good people, good solid people. My grandpa Griffin was a great man. I had the chance to get to know him a little bit longer. He had some health problems for a lot of the time when I got to spend around him. But as I was a little kid, we'd spend time at his house, and he's just a good man. He's committed to the gospel. I remember as he got older, he'd spend a lot of his time memorizing scriptures, and he'd memorized a lot of scriptures, and he had that very strong testimony of the gospel. And I've enjoyed hearing stories about him and his youth and the example he really is. My grandma Griffin too, she, the first thing that comes to mind with her is that she'd always give us stuff. She'd give us little toys that she went and bought, or she would have this room full of toys that she had for all the grandkids when they came over. And she'd come over and the toys would just get a mess. It would get so messy because we just went nuts there. And she had her little rake for the house because she couldn't bend over. She was older, and she took a rake and she would clean up for it. She wouldn't even make us clean it up. And she was just that kind of a person, really giving and really supportive and just a solid people. And when I think of that side, the Griffin side of my family, that's what I think of. I think of just solid, good people, good to the heart, good to the soul. They're just good. That's how my dad is too. I don't know if they have any evil desires in them. They're just so nice, and that's a little bit about my grandpa and grandma Griffin and that legacy and how it's impacted me. One of the most memorable experiences from my childhood came from my grandpa Cook's funeral and my grandpa Griffin's funeral, and also my grandma Griffin as well. But I remember those were the kind of the first experiences that you have with death for me as a younger kid, and that kind of rattles you when you're 10 years old. I was 10 years old when my grandma Griffin passed away. I was in 9th grade, November, when my grandpa Cook passed away. And those were kind of big experiences for me, kind of a little shocking. But I remember, especially at my grandpa Cook's funeral, I had the opportunity to play the piano. And like I said, I was in 9th grade. I played the piano. My mom had me take lessons since I was little. I was never that kid that would just rip out those crazy pieces from memory or be playing in the cafeteria or stuff. But I loved playing hymns and especially church songs. And so I had the chance to play at my Grandpa Cook's funeral. I remember the song I was playing was Jesus Savior Pilot Me. And that song was like really a special song, special meaning. And I remember I practiced really hard, and I was really nervous about it because there was going to be a lot of people there. I remember getting to the funeral and just like dying because of how many people there. There was a whole chapel, and then the whole gym was full of people. And there was like a member from the Relief Society General Presidency there, and there was just tons of people I looked up to my whole life, all my family members there. And I was supposed to play the piano, and I remember being super nervous about this and just practicing all morning. And I kept messing up on this one part. I remember that, and from my memory, maybe this is wrong, but no, I think I remember getting there and playing the piano, and doing that and being shaking, like my leg was shaking. But I that day I felt like I was helped from above almost, as I was playing that. It played and went so well. It was the best I ever played, and the best I ever played after that. But in that moment, to play that, and everyone came up after me and told me how well it was and how expressive it was and how much that song meant. And that was something that I really cherished, because my Grandpa Cook meant a lot to me. And to be able to play that at this funeral and to kind of give tribute to the man that lived that way, with allowing the Savior to pilot him, that was something really special. And also my Grandpa Griffin's funeral, I also had the chance to play the piano as well. And that one was interesting. I played Joseph Smith's First Prayer. And I kind of was like, that's not a funeral song, but that was the one I had learned recently, so I played that. And I later found out that really helped one of my cousins, Chloe, with her testimony. And that was really something special for me that I really cherished, is that idea that she was sitting there and listening to the song about Joseph Smith's First Prayer, and she felt like the church was true. And to have that experience was something that I really cherished and I'm really grateful for. So talking about my testimony, I think a lot of it for me goes back to the Book of Mormon and my testimony of the Book of Mormon. I remember when I was 11. So I was 11, it was the beginning of the new year, and our ward just came out with this new goal for all the youth. And it was given by my uncle. My uncle was the bishop at the time, my Uncle Dale. And he gave us this challenge. He said, he invited the youth to read one chapter of the Book of Mormon every day until, so if we read every chapter, we'd finish in, I think, September. And he said, at the end, we're going to have a meeting together at his house. And he's going to buy steak for all the people that finished it. And he's going to buy hot dogs for all the people that didn't. And so I was 11, and I always wanted to read the Book of Mormon. I wouldn't say that it was totally just for the steak that I read it. I decided to read it, but I decided that I was going to take this challenge to read the Book of Mormon. I was going to be a deacon in April, and I really wanted that. I really wanted to have that chance to read the Book of Mormon, to learn more about it. And so I took it, and I did it. I took it seriously. I read a chapter every day. Didn't read any more. But I read a chapter every day. And those 9 months, it was really special. I wouldn't say I had a full testimony at the end of those 9 months. I definitely believed it. I had felt the power of the Book of Mormon. But it for sure got me in that habit of reading the Book of Mormon. And for that, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I can have that habit of daily scripture study in my life, because that has come through for me so many times throughout my life, to have that habit there, to have the scriptures there, the Word of Christ to carry me through. And so I'm very grateful for that kind of silly challenge, that steak and hot dog challenge that got me reading the Book of Mormon. For me, this is a really special memory about how the Book of Mormon has really strengthened my testimony in Jesus Christ. I really like to say that without the Book of Mormon, I don't know if I'd believe in Christ. I think I would, but because of the Book of Mormon, I know that Christ is really my Savior. That book has really brought me unto Christ and helped me feel that in my life. Nothing I've ever done as a result of my reading. Nothing of inspiration that I've received as I read. No changes I've made in my life have been bad. They've all benefited me in my life. And that book has power. I remember when I was in high school, just like my sophomore year, I was going through some really hard things. And I wasn't making the best of decisions. I wasn't making terrible decisions, but I wasn't making the best decisions. And I remember wanting to change and being kind of frustrated with myself and wanting to really change and to fix those things, because I knew I was better than that, knew I shouldn't be doing those things. And so I remember going to the Book of Mormon, and I still read. Sometimes I didn't read as well as I should, but I remember one night reading in Alma 5, and that scripture has power. I actually had the chance to even read it today, but that scripture is powerful. It asks questions and it penetrates to your heart. I remember reading those scriptures about Alma, and Alma asking, he said, like, can you imagine? He asked us to imagine the day of judgment, and to imagine what it would be like if I like had judgment right now. And to have that experience and to have just to have that thing brought to my mind, it kind of shook me, because I thought, like, what if I did do that right now? What if I walked into God's presence right now? How would I feel? And I thought about it in a way like I never had before. I thought about that before, but I felt at that moment. I felt like I had that, and I read also about pride. It talks about, were you not willing to humble yourself and come to Christ? And at that point of time, that was a very spiritual experience. I won't go into any too more detail of that, because it's a very sacred thing to me, but I know in that moment that I felt God and his power there. And I received direction on what I should do. It was very specific, and it was very much revelation. And also on top of that like empowered me. That changed me. I felt God's love in my life in a way that I don't think I felt after that moment. And by that I know that the Book of Mormon is really the Word of God. Because of that and subsequent experiences in my life, that I know that the Book of Mormon really is of God. And that's something super powerful to me, and I'm very grateful for that experience. In my patriarchal blessing, it quotes John 17:3. It says, and this is life eternal, that ye... I'm going to blank on it, I don't want to say it, but it's just that ye might know God, the eternal Father, and Jesus Christ, whom he has sent. And so that is life eternal, that we may know God and Jesus Christ. And first of all, I'm so grateful for that experience. For me, in a small way, of coming to know of Christ and to feel that love in such a powerful way. When I was just young, when I was just 15. And I still to this day, I know that Christ is our Savior. When I was in high school, in my junior year, it was the beginning of the year, my dad was scheduled to go in for a surgery. And that, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I mean, he has had a health problem throughout his life. He had Crohn's disease, and they took out his colon, I believe, when he was younger, when I was super young. Or maybe before I was born, but yeah, when I was super young anyways. But he was going in for this other surgery to put him in with, he had to have a bag and to have that there with his stomach. And so he had that surgery, and he was supposed to be in the hospital for like a week to recover, which I guess is a long time, but I didn't really think it was going to be that big of a deal. But I remember we went in the next week, and at his conference weekend, we went in there with our family, and the room just felt bad. Like, it just felt not as good, and he was really sick. He wasn't the same dad. He was super skinny. And I could tell the looks of my little brothers and sisters on my younger siblings, their faces, that they were scared, and I was scared too. And I was trying to like keep the mood light and try to cheer them up a little bit, I guess. But that was really scary. I remember coming home. It was conference, so we listened to that, and watched that at my grandma cook's house. Then I remember getting a phone call. And my grandma cook picked up the phone. I remember I was standing out in the little courtyard by the drinking fountain in my grandma cook's house, And I remember her voice, and my heart dropped in that moment. I thought he was gone. I thought my dad was gone. And he almost was. My mom didn't really tell me at the time, but he had some complications, and he stopped breathing, and I guess the doctor got the breathing tube down his throat, got him going again, but he was in intensive care for a little while there, for I don't know how long it was, honestly, probably like a week and a half or 2 weeks, but that was really scary. Next Sunday, the bishop brought me into the office, and I wasn't really sure what it was about, but he kind of just talked to me. He said, it's okay to wonder. It's okay to wonder what happens if he's gone. And so to have people around me talk to me about that, and to see my dad in such a situation was very, very scary. How being the selfish high school student that I was more worried about myself, wondering if I was going to have to get a job or I start providing for the family, drop out of school. I don't know. I was kind of confused, but it was also really scary to see my dad like that, to go to the hospital. And there was one time we went, and he couldn't even say anything to us. He just held my hand and just squeezed it a little bit, and that was super hard to see that. But during that time, I think that time was super influential in my life, I guess. During that time, I remember praying for God's help and His comfort, and feeling comforted in a powerful way. And I also love in Alma 7, it talks about Christ's sacrifice. And it says, succor those in need of succor, and that's what Christ is going to do. And then in Mosiah, if you flip back to Mosiah, in King Benjamin speak, he's talking about succoring those that are in need of succor. Like, will you do that? And for me, I take that as Christ's invitation to help him succor those, that we are but vessels to help Christ in his succoring. And during that time, we were definitely recipients of that kind of succoring and Christ-like love and help. My grandma cook was there every day. My mom, she was incredible. She was going back and forth, and she was more scared than I was. She'd let her teaching like degree or certification expired a little bit, and so she was worried too. She didn't know how the family was going to get provided for. And it was during that time, it was from October, and my dad left the hospital in the middle of January. And so during that time, we had the holidays, we had many things, and she was a trooper. She went back and forth, and she was there for us at night, and she'd be down there all day with my dad, encouraging and helping him and going through those scary moments with him. On top of that, we had the ward bring us meals every night, from October to January, every night. And then we also had, one special experience was Christmas Eve. I didn't really know what to think. It's Christmas. I was a junior in high school. I kind of just expected Christmas to come, I didn't really think, and I was like, okay, if it didn't too much, I expected it would. I wasn't really too worried about money. I don't know why. I figured we were well off for just that time period, maybe in the future, but people really came through. I remember Christmas Eve, my mom being so touched that someone came, and there was like $500 underneath our door, not our door, underneath our tree, and she was like, how did it get in here? And to have those people just come through in that way, in that time of crisis for us, that's something that shaped me. That's what I want to do in the future. So I'll hold it to my future self. I love talking to my future self, but I really hope that's something I can do, that I can give back, that I can come through like people came through for our family. It was incredible. And that was so meaningful to me. And so I'm very grateful for that experience with my dad. One last thing that was awesome. So I'm a BYU fan. I'm a BYU student. I love BYU. I always make friends with those U of U fans, and I always tease them about the U. hubby's living with the national champion and a Heisman Trophy in their case and that kind of stuff, and the Lord's school and stuff. I love that. But during that time, my dad always works at the U. He works at the U. During that time, he's at the U of U hospital, and his coworkers were amazing. They sacrificed days that they hadn't taken off their days vacation leave, and they pulled them all together for my dad. And so he was in the hospital, but I'm pretty sure he was getting paid. They were still giving him a salary. So while he was in the hospital, he got paid the whole time. And just that incredible, that work coming through for him in such a meaningful way. That's so incredible what that means, and that's what I hope to do. That's kind of shaped my life. It's kind of where I want to go. I want to become a person that can come through for people like that, even when they don't expect it. They really don't expect it. And so that's one of the most special experiences of my life, and I'm so grateful for that and how it's shaped me. Even though it was really hard, but God really blessed my dad to come through, and he's healthy now, and he's doing good, and it's great, and I'm grateful. I can't wait till after my mission, because after my mission, I feel like you love your dad so much more, and you understand him so much more, and so I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for that experience. After a couple of years, I was a senior in high school, and I decided to get my mission call. I decided to go on my mission right after high school. That's what some of my friends did that first year, and they're a great example. And they did great things on their missions, and they're incredible examples to me, and I wanted to be like that. I was definitely mission trunky. I really wanted to get out there on the mission. And so I got my papers ready, did all that, got it in there on February 1st. Got my mission papers in February 1st, because you can spend it 4 months before your day of availability. And so we graduated May 31st, so I put it June 1st. So that's my day of availability. And so I set that up, sent it in, did all the paperwork, did all the interviews, and I received my call. And when I got my call, it was an interesting experience, because they came a day later than they were supposed to. It came on a Thursday. So I went home at lunch, and I held my call in my hand. I got it from the mailbox. I remember walking in and just be like, oh, like just going crazy. And I set it in there, and I just set it in there inside of our house. And I had to leave it because my family wasn't there, and they said I couldn't open it without them. And so I went up to a track meet, and because we had a track meet up in Idaho, Simplot Games, and I was up there, and I went nuts for like 3 days. I was so excited to open that thing, and I was just thinking about all the places I could go: Russia, Asia. I was hoping Taiwan. I took 4 years of Chinese from 7th grade to 10th grade, through 10th grade. I took Chinese, and I was afraid of going stateside speaking Chinese, because my cousin and my cousin Corey, my cousin Josh was in Birmingham, England, speaking Chinese. Corey was in not Riverside. He was in Anaheim and Irvine, California, speaking Chinese, and I didn't want to do that, because I wanted to learn Chinese, not just try to, I don't know. I was afraid I wasn't going to learn it if I was in the States. And so at that point, I was hoping I was going to go to Taiwan. And so I came home after the meet, and all my friends and my family came over, and that was a very, very exciting moment. I was super excited. Opened up the call, read Taiwan, Taipei. That was my dream mission. One of my best friends was there, Parker Greenhall, and to read Mandarin Chinese in Taiwan, it was almost too good to be true. That's where I wanted to go, and so I just scored. So later, we went through the end of the school year. I was counting down the days, like every day till I left, and I got done with school, and I just felt like I was a worthless piece of object waiting to go on a mission and do something with my life. And so then I finally got to the MTC, and the MTC was a very awesome experience for me. And it's not where I realized I had a testimony, but during those months leading up to my mission, and even in the MTC, I felt like this pressure that I was going to go out and share the gospel, and that people were going to challenge my beliefs, and like, do you really believe it? That was the question that kept going through my head. And we went back to Nauvoo right before my mission, and so even I got some church history things that I wasn't familiar with, and I had those testimony experiences there as well, but I had those experiences where I kind of, was questioning my testimony. Not really questioning. It's like I've shared about, but just worried about it. Worried if it was strong enough. So in the MTC, I feel like one of the things that really helped me, I prayed a lot, but it was self-reflection. I reflected on experiences that I already have and wrote them down and wrote them out, and I realized what kind of a testimony I actually had, and realized the magnitude of the experiences I had. And I've been very blessed to have those experiences and have my testimony of the gospel of the day. And also in the MTC, I was just surrounded by so many amazing people. I was surrounded by one of my high school friends. I had 4 of my future companions from the field. They were in my MTC district. So I was with companions with everyone except for one, and he was the guy from my high school. And so it was an incredible time, and I loved that experience so much. And that was the MTC. Such a great place. Chinese was good. It wasn't as hard as the MTC because it's the MTC. And it was really fun to learn. I loved learning Chinese during that time. And so that's my memories of the MTC. Gained 10 pounds, not too bad. Got a little bit tushier, but not too bad. It was good stuff. So coming out of the MTC, I had to wait for my visa in St. George, and that was kind of a crazy experience. We had infield orientation, they called it, where they talked about going to the field the last day. You have a day of training about what you actually do in the field after 9 weeks in the MTC. But as we were at the infield orientation, we heard from the travel office. They said all the Taiwan Taipei missionaries come to the office. They're like, yeah, you're not going to get your visas. For infield orientation. So we were like pumped to go. And then they told us that we're not going to get them. And so then they're like, no, like actually you will. And so they gave us flight plans. And we're like, yes, we're going. Taiwan. We're so excited. There's no one more excited than a missionary in the MTC about to leave. But then turns out that we weren't actually going. And so we got called on visa waiting. So we got another mission call. And so I got mine. I was hoping for Portland because I love running. Go see or Portland or Eugene. Go see some Hayward Field or something. But I ended up getting called to St. George. And at first I was like, oh, St. George, like, I'm from Utah. Like, did they mess up? Like, but in the end, I got to St. George. We flew in. First day there, sitting in the mission president's office. He interviewed us. Great interview, by the way. This is very in-depth, but a great interview. Got me super excited and really pumped for the work. And I was sitting there in the mission president's office, and my aunt and uncle walking with the package for me. I was like, oh, crap, I'm not supposed to see them, but then I talked to them. But in my time at St. George, I was companions with Elder Green and Elder Carmen. Elder Green was training Elder Carmen, and I was added into it. And that was so much fun, especially looking back. But I hope I loved it as much when I was there as I do now, but that was incredible. We taught families. We went to appointment LAs, less actives and investigators and members, and they fed us, they loved us. It was just an incredible experience to be in Utah, to be sharing the gospel. And we specifically the Price family. That's who I remember, the Price family. The dad and the mom, they'd moved to Tennessee. The dad was less active. He had been a member as a child. Moved to Tennessee. Kind of got involved in some things that were not so good. Some like gangs and stuff. And then he realized that he wanted to change. And so he moved back to Utah. One of his co-workers introduced him to the gospel. And they were the most golden family ever. We went there our first day. We taught him, I can't remember what we taught him. I think it was fasting the first day. And they were just bearing their testimony of fasting to us about how their friend fasted for him one time. And it helped them so much. We're there with the bishop, and he's like, yeah, don't get used to this first day out of the MTC to me. But it was incredible that whole time in St. George. And I got to see them and another family baptized. As well as work with many people that later got baptized and see LA, less actives that came back. And it was incredible. The work was amazing there. And we also, the Duelmeyers, I give a shout out to them. They're a senior couple that did so much work in that stake. Great influences on me. And that was my time in St. George. Amazing. Eventually, we got our visas to Taiwan, and we flew to Taiwan and got to spend some time there. Got to share the gospel there. Got to chuan the jiao. That's what we called it. It's just Chinese. In Taiwan, it was incredible. It was so incredible to be there and to share the gospel with those people. I remember when we first got there, we were just freaking out because it was Asian. There was like the street signs on the side of the road, and people were everywhere, scooters. Like, oh, we loved it. In my first area, and we just kept working. We really worked to help people But I remember during those times, there was a lot of times I doubted myself. At first, I thought it was pretty sweet. I thought it was pretty hot stuff. The first of my mission. I kept going, and I thought, like, oh, man, the mission president's like that other Griffin, man. I don't know what it is. He's doing good, though. But later, I kind of felt more of my inadequacies, especially when I moved to Taiwan. And I was a junior companion, and I got moved from junior companion straight to zone leader. And that was kind of crazy because I thought the mission president hated me. Not he didn't. Okay, so yeah, I just been junior companion for a long time, for 6 transfers, not that long. It came with 7 transfers, and all of a sudden I'm zone leader. And that was like the most inadequate I've ever felt in my whole life. I just, like, I don't know why I took it. I guess I took it so seriously. I knew it was the Lord's work, but I was taking it very seriously, and I felt very inadequate. And that continued until the next transfer. I got put companions with one of my best friends, other Jensen, Caden Jensen. What a guy, incredible guy. And I got to spend time with him as my companion. And we were both on our 8th transfer, zone leaders. New mission president came in. Me and my last companion baptized the whole area, so we had no investigators. Great problem to have. But we came in, and he was incredible influence on my life. But we felt very inadequate, and we were running around doing the best we could. But we had the way of the zone, and we were just trying to figure out what to do. And we were very young enough that I was semi-humble, got humbled a little bit more. But during that time, we had a motto, and I felt like this was one of the biggest models of a mission. It was, do your best, and let the Lord take care of the rest. And that was something that was incredible. Do your best, let the Lord take care of the rest. We took that into action. And it worked for missionary work. We saw so many miracles. We had 6 or 7 baptisms together, me and him. One of the most unproductive times of my whole mission. And that was when we weren't the most skilled. We didn't have the best language. I didn't have the most faith, I guess. But we worked hard, and we trusted in the Lord, and it was incredible, the miracles we saw. And one example from a mission I saw later on, I saw from Sister Zhao Jianmei. So I was in an area called Shiji, which is just outside of the city of Taipei. And so it's still enough city. There's people, lots of people. It's Asia. But it was also out of the city a little bit. And this is during Guonian, or during the Chinese New Year. And so we were out this side finding. We were just walking up and down the streets. And it was me and I was on exchanges. And we hadn't found anyone. It rained because it rains every day in Shiji. And we hadn't found anyone. And as we were fighting, we were walking back, and we were walking back, and I looked over, and I saw this lady walking with her dog off on the side, and we just, like, went over and talked to her, just kind of like we talked to a lot of people, didn't think much of it, talked to her, like, church, and she's like, well, when's church? And she's like, yeah, do you want to come? She's like, yeah. We didn't even pray with her. We usually pray with people. Didn't even pray with her. She came to church, and she brought her mom and her sister that first week. And we were like, sweet, like, super cool. And she was in the other area. But later on, she shared about that experience. She shared that earlier that day, she had gone to the hospital. The doctor had diagnosed her with cancer. She's like 28. And so she was in shock. She came home and cried all morning, texted her sister, said, take care of my dog, because she loved her dog. And then after crying all morning, she's like, okay, I got to get out of the house. And so she stood up, took her dog, was walking her dog, and she takes him down the stairs. She walks about 12 or 15 steps, and then we start talking to her. And to be able to have that, like, I couldn't plan that. No one could plan that. That was just an example of it being the Lord's work, that He put us there in the most random spot in Shiji during a time where no one really wanted to talk to us. He directed us to the person that needed the most, who had been prepared. And it turned out later she didn't even have cancer. I don't know what the doctor was doing, but it was that was a very special experience. And I always quote the doctrine coming to section 123, the last couple of verses about how a large ship is helped in a storm by a small, like, rudder. Is that what it is, a rudder? But yeah. Anyways, so it talks about how, like, wherefore, my dearly beloved brethren, let us cheerfully do all that is in our power. Let's cheerfully do everything that we can, and then let us stand still and see the hand of the Lord revealed. And that's one of the biggest things I learned from my mission, that as we do all we can, we do our best, the Lord will take care of the rest, that we will be able to stand still and see the miracle that the Lord worked. And that was something incredible, super incredible for me. I also saw the power of the commandments in people's lives. I saw people I just wanted them to live the commandments because I knew it helped so much. I knew that God knew his children because he saw Zhao Jimei, Sister Zhao. When she had cancer, she needed the gospel the most. It came. And God was right there with her. Jesus Christ helping me through my trials and helping everyone else. Now, missions are incredible. They're so great. I miss it so much. Especially now. When I first got home, I didn't think I would, but yeah, I do now. I'm so grateful for it. Coming home from a mission was something that was kind of a difficult experience. Very fun experience, too. I remember getting on the plane and coming home with something unreal. It was so unreal. I got to Japan and I was scared of white people. I hadn't seen that many white people and they look so mean. But after we got back to Los Angeles and we made it back to Salt Lake, I remember we were so excited. We ran down there. Surreal. Just ran to our families and to be back in Utah. Everything felt weird in Utah. Like the mountains, the air, the open space, the dead stuff, like Cafe Rio. It was super unreal. And coming back, I was just got back and I was ready to go. Worked for 2 years and I wanted to work some more. I wanted to just get into school and I didn't know what to do. But my mom had suggested getting a job at the MTC. So that first Friday after I got home, my brother had actually gone to the MTC 2 days before I got home. So I got home July 15th, 2016. Brother went to the MTC July 13th, 2016, Thomas. And so that Friday, I got home on a Friday, or on a Saturday, I think. It was Saturday. And then the next Friday, went down the MTC, got to see my brother. I applied for a job there. They had to do like this teaching scenario where they taught people. And so I applied there. And then we went to Park City and I was just ready to go. Went up to the Uintas, ran some. It was so fun. And then I got a call when I was up at the Uintas that said, come down here for an interview like right now. Classic MTC, classic missionary thing. But so I went back down, got an interview for this job, and I ended up getting the job. And so I started like 2 weeks after I got home from my mission. That's awesome. I actually brought these little souvenirs. I don't know if souvenirs are allowed for this, but I did anyways. And so this is my badge right now. My badge. I'll hold it for a little bit. Brother Griffin for the Missionary Training Center. And that's my badge now. And this was my badge. This was the Holy of All Holies. Elder Griffin. They called me Feng Chai Lao. That was my name. Feng. Feng. Griffin. Okay. And the church name is Yesu Jidu Hoqi Shangtu Jiaohai. And that was something, yeah. And so coming back and working at the MTC, I got to see my brother a lot. I taught his class once while I was still there in the MTC. And then to continue to work with the missionaries has been incredible. They're all so good. Their hearts are pure gold. They'll do anything they tell you. They just want to be servants in the hand of the Lord. And that is something so great to be around. And I do all I can to help them, and that's something that's been really fun to be a part of and to kind of keep the mission alive in me, to kind of keep me settled and not be freaked out about not having that missionary part of me in there. It was definitely stressful at first, but it's great. It's been such a great experience for me. And it's my first job. Pays pretty good too. For my first job, it started at $13.50, I think, and now I'm up at $14.50 an hour for a college student. I teach Chinese. It's great. It's incredible. It's a great job. Work 20 hours a week, so it's not a bad first job. So, yeah, and that's kind of my experience at the MTC. For high school, I attended Syracuse High School. I was the Syracuse sweep, ultimate Syracusean. I went to Syracuse Elementary, Syracuse Junior High, Syracuse High School. Almost went to Syracuse University. But, yeah, BYU's good too. But, Syracuse High School was a great school. It was a brand new school, pretty much. Got built maybe in like 2010. I graduated probably a little before that, 2008. And I graduated in 2014. And it was a great school. Lots of people, all from the local area, from West Point to Syracuse. And some of the great memories, some of the great friends there. That's something special in high school. Be with all those friends. And so that was my time in high school. So in high school, I started off I'm debating about whether or not to join the football team because the football team is sweet. Everyone loved football. And, I wanted to be like that Schwei, I call it Schwei, that handsome dude that played football, everyone does. But, so I debated that for a little bit, but if anyone's seen my body type, especially as a sophomore in high school, that would have been a really bad idea. But then I tried out for the basketball team. I loved basketball growing up. I loved the Jazz. They're the best. I love the Jazz. So I'd read in high school. Elementary school, I'd read about the Jazz, going to the finals. John Stockton, he's my idol. But in high school, so I tried out for the basketball team. Went to like these open gym things for a while, and then I didn't make first catch. So after that, me and a couple of my friends, we decided to go outdoor track. I thought about doing cross country. I did track in high school. Junior high. So then I went to outdoor track, and we joined the track team. I started running, and all those friends I joined with, they kept going for a little while, and then they all eventually quit. But by the time they quit, I had already made other friends on the team, and so that was an incredible experience. Cross country was a great fit for me. I got that sports limit for me. I love sports, and I also met some of the best people. The gang, cross country gang, the club. I love being a part of that team with Coach Rob and Coach Burley. Coach Rob was just the best. He helped me so much, and they're very supportive of me. Even though I wasn't the best runner, they would always compliment me and say how hard I worked. And they're just great influence on me, and how I think now is very much influenced a lot by Coach Burley and Coach Rob and that training in high school and running. So I started that sophomore year, and I just kept going. I remember one of the things that kept me going right at first was just that there's this really cute girl. She's in my history class too, but she kept talking to me whenever she did track too. Every time I came, she talked to me and stuff, and I was like, dude, yeah, this is the spot. Co-ed sport, man. Cross country co-ed sport, good stuff. But I just kept running and loved it. Such great memories being with the team, going on runs up in the mountains on Antelope Island, racing. I only run one race, and that was the second heat of the 800, my second to last race. I ran a 2:09 800. So I wasn't the best, but I loved running. I loved logging the miles. And that was just such a great experience. And those friends, we did everything together. We played Scum all the time. We played card games. We had warbling fights. We did all sorts of random things. We thought we were cool, but they were all such good kids. Such good, just solid people that are going places in life. And they're still friends to this day. We're just so tight, and so I'm very grateful for those friends that I made. And that was another portion of my high school experience, that running. That was a portion that I love, and I hope I continue to keep running. So in high school, I had the great chance to learn a lot. I enjoyed learning. Ever since I was little, I loved to learn. And I did pretty good on some tests. After kindergarten, I had some couple scary things where I struggled to answer some things, but I was very shy as a young kid too. But I started doing better in second and third grade. I started getting a little competitive. I wanted to be the best in the class. That was my driving force. Since I was little, I just wanted to be the best. And so that kind of drove me into high school as well. I was doing really well in junior high, and so I expected to do well in high school. So I took some AP classes, I took harder classes, and I was going to succeed in them. I knew I was smart, and I knew I wanted to do that, and I wanted to excel, and I had a goal to get a scholarship to BYU. I had that goal since 5th grade, since Adam Edwards told me that was his goal, so I had to do it too. I had to beat him. But it was something that was super awesome to learn. I was really blessed. I don't really like to talk about it, but on the ACT, which is the standardized test, I got a 34 out of a 36, which is a great score. And I had a 4.0 all through high school. I had AP tests. I took calculus and statistics and physics and history. I loved my history classes. And I passed all those AP tests, and I took second in the Math Sterling Scholar category, and so then I took science because I had a perfect ACT score for the science section, and so I was the Science Sterling Scholar of my high school my senior year. And yeah, I was really blessed in high school to have that. And at the end, I was applying to schools, and I wanted to apply all throughout Utah. So I applied to Utah and Utah State and BYU. And I was blessed to have received great scholarships. I had full tuition scholarships from all three. The Utah one would have paid me tuition as well. Got the presidential one. And I ended up taking the one at BYU called the Heritage Scholarship, which was a full tuition scholarship, and I was really blessed to be able to receive that. So I hope I can really continue to give back in the future, and that I can really take advantage of that opportunity that people have given me to have school and to succeed there. So I applied to BYU. I got the scholarship, and I always loved BYU. I was the kid that wore BYU stuff and made bets about the BYU-Utah game. One time I wore a Utah jersey to school after losing the bet about the BYU-Utah game. Everyone loved it, but I really was debating about where to go. Especially when I was in MTC, I found out I didn't have this other scholarship, which would have paid for my housing and my books from the state. I missed a paper or something. I'm still bitter, yes. But after that, I was kind of shaken. I wanted to go to school for free, and I wanted to kind of not have to work. But I ended up being in Taiwan after a year and a half. I was sitting in this they call it internet cafes, where there's kind of guys just gaming and smoking and whatever. And I'm sitting in there emailing my family, and I just turned to my companion. I was like, should I just tell my mom to? She's asking me about what you're just gonna go to school. I was like, should I just tell her BYU? I could tell my mom wanted me to go to BYU as well. She didn't ever say that. She wanted me to make my own decision, but she wanted me to go, and I'm a mama's boy. I like to do things that make my mom happy. My mom happy. Moms. But I ended up choosing to go to BYU. Coming here, I debated about it a long time. The U was the big other one, especially since I could maybe get off tuition for that as well. And so that could have really given me some serious money to deal with and to not have to worry about, which I'm fortunate now to not even have to worry about it. But I decided to come to BYU. And at first I decided I was going to study mechanical engineering. And so last semester, came here, kind of didn't know what to expect. I was pretty nervous. I was told to lower my expectations, and I was probably going to fail because everyone's the top of their class, and so just get ready to fail. And so kind of came with that expectation. Not the best. But just came in here, went to work, kept working at the MTC, and I've done okay in my classes. I had 1 A- last semester, and so right now I'm sitting at a 3.96 GPA, which I obviously value very much since I have that number right there, and I'm telling you that. But yeah, it's been really great, and I love being here at BYU. Okay, I thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about some of my future plans because we'll see how it actually turns out. But for right now, my plan is to study biology. I decided to change that last semester as I thought about what I really wanted. And some things stuck out. I thought about my job at the MTC and how much it means to me to see people and to help them and to lift them up. And originally I was planning to go into biomedical engineering, specifically because of my dad and my grandpa, their health challenges that they've been through. I thought that would be super meaningful to work and try to help people like that. But in the end, I decided, but after hearing about it, I felt like it was kind of separated from people, really helping people. It was more the technology side. And also hearing about the career, I felt like there was a lot of startups. I felt like there was a lot of kind of work to make money, which I could do. I just don't really think I'd love. And so I've decided to change to biology. And right now I'm thinking about going to medical school. But I really hope, I feel like those experiences, as when I was younger, my grandpa cook and my dad, and to see how the medical system worked and how I want to kind of fight cancer off because of my grandpa. That's kind of where I'm thinking of going. I really want to kind of get cancer. We'll see. I kind of changed my mind a lot. I'm kind of debating about what I want to do, but I kind of want to fight cancer. I kind of work on that, and I kind of want to be a doctor. It sounds great to me. And to be able to live the lifestyle, I think it'd be great to make money, be able to give back. Like I talked about how that's so important to me, as well as to fight for a noble cause and to see people continue to improve and to really work with them and help lift them. I think that would be a great job. And so that's kind of my future plans. Marriage, I'm kind of a little nervous about marriage. I feel like everyone I talk to, everyone's just scared about marriage, and I'm kind of scared. I kind of need to man up a little bit, but I feel like it'll work out. I kind of trust. I trust that it'll work out. Don't know when. I'm kind of not doing as well as I should maybe in that area, but that's kind of my future plans. I hope that I can go to the University of Utah Medical School. If I'm still single, I might get half off because my dad works there, which would be pretty sweet. But it'd also be pretty sweet to be married too. And so I hope to go to the U of U. I feel like that's a great school, as well as what it did for my dad and what a great place it's been for him. I hope to kind of get connected in there and hopefully maybe work there in the future. Huntsman Cancer Institute. That's kind of, maybe a little too specific for the future, but that's kind of this idea I have in my mind, and we'll see how it comes to pass. But that's kind of where I'm sitting at now as a 20-year-old, turns 21 next month, single, still haven't kissed a girl. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it's been great, and that's kind of my plans for the future. And so I think this is a really fun segment to kind of think about, see how it will actually turn out. So my dad, I've kind of talked about him a lot more than I expected, but my dad is a great man. He's pure in heart. He's very good. He is a very nice and kind, considerate person, and he's always been solid. He leads through example. My dad has dealt with health problems while growing up. He didn't complain about it a lot. Kind of dealt with the pain. Went to work every day. Delivered for our family. I feel like almost like he doesn't have any hobbies because he just devotes all his time to helping us out and helping out our family. And that's my dad. Not a lot there. I didn't give a lot of memories right here, but I really look up to my dad, the kind of man he is, and I'm really surprised about how similar I am to him now. I felt like that's one of the same. I realized on my mission I have so much of his characteristics, and I hope to continue to be considerate and kind and willing to serve and to lift others and to not be so concerned about myself, to really just work for the family and to deliver as a dad like he did, and be that solid, willing to sacrifice parent like he is. And that's kind of some of my memories about my dad. So my mom is an incredible lady. She's always going. I feel like she does everything. She went go on field trips with us. I think she was in the PTA, the Parent Teacher Association type thing. She graduated as a teacher, elementary school teacher. When I was little, I was like 2 years old. My mom, she'd go to school to teach. They're a young couple, so they were both working. And I had to go to my aunt's house. And one day I told her, I said, "Mom, I don't want to go. I don't want to go." She's like, "You have to. I have to go teach school." And I said, "Mommy, how about you just stay home and teach me?" And she, being the soft-hearted, loving mom she is, she did it. She stayed home and taught me. And so that's probably where I should give credit for success in school. It's to my mom. Everything, a lot of things I should give credit to is for my mom. She's a very just go-getter. She'll get the best deal in Disneyland that you've ever seen. Been to Disneyland so many times because she loves it. And I think she more loves it for us. She loves having us go too. Every birthday, every Christmas, it'd be a huge deal. She'd go all out and just deliver for us, as well as my dad. And she's great. She's great support to me. Write me a ton on my mission. Call her every day now. Definitely a mama's boy. I'm so grateful for the advice and the influence she's had on my life. When I think of my little brother Thomas, he's kind of that pal that you had all growing up, Me and him grew up together. We did all the same things together, hung out together. Ended up going to the same country as our mission, speak the same language. So we're very, very close. I was 2 grades older than him, but only about a year and a half older. And so he was old enough to try to keep up with me. I wouldn't say he actually did keep up with me, but he tried. But he'd always compete. He's definitely my younger brother. Always get under my skin. Maybe one time hit me with the remote after I beat him in a video game and made me throw up. Maybe something like that. But he was great, especially in high school. I got to hang out with him. He got to be one of my friends. He ran cross country. Would hang out with us on the weekends, and that was super, super fun. I'm looking forward to when he gets back. We're going to go to Taiwan. We're going to party. We're going to go see the whole island, and then he's going to come to BYU, I think. And we'll be able to spend time there together again. Thomas is a great guy. He's always there to make fun of you, to joke about you, to kind of keep the mood light and to get it competitive. And he's going to be a great person. He works hard. He works very hard. He always had more money than me because he worked harder and he loved to get more money than me. I don't know. He just delivered. He worked hard. And he's a great guy, great friend. Rachel's my little sister. She is great. She's the middle child, only girl in the family, and so she was spoiled. Just kidding. She wasn't really, but she's a great sister. She was like one of those super cool girls. I think she just grew up with 4 brothers, so she's super cool. But we love spending time with Rachel. She's hilarious. She always makes you laugh. Especially after my mission, we've become good friends. She always makes me laugh, and she ran. I always loved watching her run because she was good. She was so good, and I would just like brag about her. I think one time I told like the best girl runner in the state. She was a freshman. And my sister was a freshman too, and I was a senior. And I told her something about Rachel. I think that actually happened. I don't think I'm making that up. Just because I was so proud of her, and I was like, watch out, my sister's coming. She's 9th grade too. She's super good. But Rachel's just super great. She's super nice. She doesn't get in your face about anything. Very considerate, and she's gonna go places in life. She works super hard in school. She's smart, beautiful. So that's my little sister Rachel. Love her. Rach dog. Adam is the second youngest, so he's kind of in that spot where he's like the younger. He's not the youngest though. And so he's always been hilarious. I think of Adam, I think of him loving popcorn and bacon and toots and all sorts of jokes. And when we were little, we'd tell him like go run in the door, and he'd do it, and he'd tell all these like hilarious jokes. He's just a funny guy. He's grown up, and he's 9th grade now. He's playing the saxophone. He's good too. He's a great little guy. He's almost as tall as me. He thinks he's gonna be taller than me, but we'll see. I doubt it. Actually, I think he probably will, but he's a great little dude. Love Adam. If I had one message to say to Adam, I would just say, Bubby, let it rip. So Spencer's my youngest brother. He's an angel. He was such a schwy baby. He's such a good-looking little dude. But as he's grown up, he's just become such the nicest guy. He hates to see people upset. He hates to be offended. He'll like cry. He's just so nice, and he's great. He's learned to speak Chinese all through elementary school. He's been in the Chinese immersion program, and he's great at basketball. He's a great friend, and he just laughs. He just loves to laugh and have fun. He's so good. I remember before my mission, he was having a hard time that I was leaving. I remember one time it was just me and him alone, and he just like started crying. And I started crying too. We were just like crying there because it was like 2 weeks before my mission. I thought I had to go. So other people would be eternal, like other families could be eternal like ours. And he was great. When I got set apart, I was supposed to have a companion, right? And so he was my companion. He slept the night in my room the night before he left. Then he gave me $10. He had $10 he gave me. I was like a 5th grader. He gave me that money. And he is just a little angel, a little Spence. He's great. I love him to death. He's going to do great things in life. He's smart. And just like Adam and Rachel and all of them. But he's great. That's Spence.